Roswell, New Mexico is a quiet city of just 26,000 people. The majority of the population are ranchers or military based at the nearby Roswell Army Airfield. Little do any of them know, this sleepy town is about to receive a wake-up call. On July 6th, local rancher Mac Brazel reports to the local sheriff that he has found strange debris on the ranch where he works. Major Jesse Marcel from Roswell Army Airfield is sent out to investigate. He takes as much of the debris as he can fit in his truck back to the base. On July 8th, the Army issues a statement that they are in possession of a flying saucer. But after the debris is flown to Dallas, Texas that afternoon for further analysis, the Army states the debris is nothing but a misidentified weather balloon. The story quickly fades from memory. But in 1978, Stanton Friedman, a retired nuclear physicist, interviews Jesse Marcel, who has a somewhat different take on the story. Marcel reveals to Friedman that what was said that afternoon in Dallas on July 8, 1947, was actually a cover story. What he handled was definitely not a weather balloon. The Roswell mystery explodes. In the 15 years following Friedman's explosive interview with Jesse Marcel, cries of cover-up and conspiracy cloud the Roswell incident. Finally, in 1994, the government decides to tell all. The Air Force issues an official report saying that the debris recovered at Roswell was from a top-secret program called Project Mogul. These classified exercises were used to spy on Soviet missile and bomb tests. For many, the long-standing debate over what happened in 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico is put to rest. But some are not convinced. Now, there is another chapter to the Roswell story. In recent years, more and more UFO researchers are paying closer attention to a second reported crash that happened the same week as Roswell, 250 miles away on the plains of San Augustine. 61 years after these events, time is running out. Researchers rush to collect testimony and physical evidence before it disappears forever. Dr. Ted Ackworth will investigate the alleged second crash site in the plains of San Augustine.
This is the famous case. It's Roswell. It's probably the dominant UFO case of all history.
Bill Burns will meet with a researcher who's found a new witness from the original crash site, one who may have seen and handled the actual debris.
Roswell has always been for me an amazing mystery that ever since I was a kid, I've wanted to solve.
And Pat Uskert will search for physical evidence that is rumored to be hidden on remote ranches outside of town.
This is the ultimate UFO event to attend, Bill. You know, I can't believe we're here. I'm really excited about this.
This is when you want to study about UFOs in the United States, you come to Roswell, and this is where you begin.
We're here.
Bill begins by meeting Roswell researcher Dennis Balthaser, a local contact who details the new direction the investigation has taken.
There's an urgency about this. What is the urgency?
We're running out of time. We're talking about people that are in their 80s, if they're still alive, that were here, and the fact that we have nothing physical, really, for the Roswell incident. If there is metal out there, and I'm sure there is because of the number of guys that were at the crash site to help clean it up, it could be kept anywhere. I think looking at the plains of San Augustine and Roswell as a combination, or even separately, I think that needs to be worked some more.
The idea of a second crash site in the Roswell incident is a theory starting to gain traction. This possible second site, located in the plains of San Augustine, is approximately 250 miles from the main Roswell crash site. and this site could provide much-needed evidence to back up the Roswell incident. One of the biggest proponents of this theory is Stanton Friedman, the original investigator who broke the Roswell case wide open 30 years ago.
I had heard the first story about Roswell, and I'd heard the first story about the plains of St. Augustine. And I followed up on both, of course, and found sufficient other evidence to believe that there were at least two sites.
Where does it lead us with respect to multiple crash sites?
I think you needed to see the site, see how barren it is, the strange area it is, and notice that any pilot would come down in the middle of the plains instead of hit one of those mountains around there. Makes sense, that's what pilots do.
The story of this other crash happens in early July 1947 as well, though the exact date is still hotly debated. A man named Barney Barnett allegedly discovers a downed craft, including dead alien bodies, early one July morning. He claims the military arrives at the site soon after he does and orders him to keep quiet about what he's seen.
Remember, Barney was a World War I veteran. He worked for the Soil Conservation Service. It would be ridiculous to expect him to just go talking.
So what we have is a story that Barney Barnett was on the plains of St. Augustine.
Found wreckage. There were people there, including an archaeologist and including students. And the military came along, told everybody to shut up. And they meant it very strongly. Remember, this is 47.
And you shut up when you were told to shut up.
That's right.
But why would there be two UFO crashes so close together during the same week? Is it possible they are linked in some way? The theories behind these alleged crashes need further analysis before the investigation visits either site.
Do we know anything about the relative positions of these debris fields? Are they scattered randomly across what kind of area, or are they in line? Or?
Well, most of the debris fields are around Roswell. They are around the main crash site. However, there's another one 200 miles away on the plains of St. Augustine.
I mean, it seems pretty unlikely with a second crash site 200 miles away that it could be some sort of primary vehicle that hit and then bounced. I'm not familiar with any vehicles being able to bounce or debris bouncing like that.
Another theory is that there were two crafts that maybe somehow collided in midair and created a sort of cue ball effect, where one craft exploded, rained debris down over the Roswell area, and the second craft exactly was sort of cue balled over to the plains of St. Augustine. And so we have basically two crafts and two crashes.
Linking the two crashes at Roswell and St. Augustine will be a key focus of the investigation. Tom Carey, a researcher of the original crash, has uncovered a stunning new witness who claims he was at this site, a staff sergeant at Roswell Army Airfield in 1947. His name is Earl Fulford.
I called Earl Fulford 3 years ago. He was just a face in the base yearbook. I called his number and his wife answered. And much to my surprise, she said, "I'm glad you called. He's ready to talk."
Carey identified Earl through the official base yearbook from 1947. This is the first time he has ever spoken about the events he witnessed.
What happened to get you involved with this Roswell incident after you were on the base?
Well, it happened. We worked over here in the next hangar, and about 2 or 3 weeks before the incident, the people in town especially, and some airmen here on the base, started seeing objects in the sky.
Oh, where were the objects?
They were off the corner of that hangar there.
Earl describes the objects as unlike any aircraft he had ever seen.
We looked up and there was 3 up there. They were circular and hung motionless, and we probably watched them for a couple minutes, and they suddenly disappeared.
And this was before anything ever happened on the base?
That's right. It was within days, maybe a week, when the crash occurred.
This description doesn't match the appearance of the government's Project Mogul balloons, which had extremely long trains of various materials and were used primarily at high altitudes. Military servicemen would be unlikely to see them so low in the atmosphere, but spotting the strange orbs is only the beginning of Earl's story.
The next day, Sergeant Rosenberg came in the mess hall at 5 a.m. and got 12 or 15 or maybe 20 of us and loaded us up on an Army bus and took us to the debris field about 70 miles north of Roswell.
And what did you do there?
Picked up some debris of a very unusual shape and feel and appearance.
What was the debris that Earl Fulford and other volunteers picked up in 1947? The answer may still lie hidden beneath the desert.
Show no fear.
In Roswell, New Mexico, a new witness to the Roswell incident has come forward for the first time. Earl Fulford, a staff sergeant at Roswell Army Airfield in 1947, finds himself recruited for cleanup duty. But this is no ordinary cleanup. Pat and Bill are bringing Earl and researcher Tom Carey to the original Roswell crash site to get first-hand details about the debris recovered there on July 8, 1947. While they head to the first site, Ted is prepping the investigation's next step, a visit to a possible second crash site on the plains of San Augustine, 250 miles away.
Earl, if I want to go to the crash site, which way do I want to turn now?
You take a left right there on that road. It's in a high area like that over there.
Okay. What does it feel like going back?
Feel elated to be able to do something like this at 82 years old. Show no fear.
After nearly 3 hours of driving, including an hour off-road, the team arrives at their destination. This is the famous Roswell crash site. On this barren landscape, many claim history was made. Right here, for the first and so far only time, the United States military admitted to finding a UFO, only to change its story days later.
So, Earl, do you remember this site?
Yes, we picked up material here in about a 1 square mile area.
So you were here pretty much the whole day?
Yeah, the bigger part of a day.
Earl describes the field as a fan, spreading out over 1 square mile. And according to him, the debris was everywhere.
Vehicles all drove up and like formed a circle. We started walking in one direction. We went about 10, 12, 15 apart, where I could see what you could see.